Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 48 of the J Situation podcast. I'm recording this on February 2nd, 2021. How you folks doing? I'm doing well. Man, you folks better still be holding GameStop stock. Man, if you stuck with it this far, you're committed now. Okay? No, I'm just kidding, man. That's not investment advice. Don't go taking my advice on that. That's not a good idea. But I will say, Mark Cuban would be holding if he had positions. So take that for what it's worth. It's I don't know. I'm losing my mind. It's a super insane week this week already. It's Tuesday. But hey, super excited to do an episode for you guys. Gonna have to try to go a little quickly today because I got a lot on my plate, but there are some things I want to talk to you about. So we're going to explore some topics with silencers today for you. And the J Situation podcast, as always, is brought to you by PEW Science, pushing the silencer industry forward one test at a time. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating, the simplest and most accurate hearing safe ratings for your suppressed small arms. The suppression rating is in section 5 of the silencer sound standard. The standard walks you through gunshot noise, sort of like Wikipedia, but like I always say, it's way cooler because it's about guns, silencers. It's awesome. There are 7 parts. Okay, just added a part to it. They're all on pewscience.com for you to read. If you haven't dug into it, you can skip to section 5. That's the suppression rating. It lets you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to sound at the muzzle and at the shooter's ear, and it gives you a hearing safe dose limit for the particular weapon platform on which the silencers are tested. Okay, super unique stuff. Pretty useful stuff though too, you know. The next section of standards, section 6, that's all the reviews, all the detailed reviews are there of all the silencers that we've shown publicly there on the website. And you know what, if you don't want to look at those and there's too much information for you, like I said, we've just added a 7th section, rankings. You can go to section 7 there on the website. There's a simple database tool where you can sort to your heart's content with a variety of parameters, be it, model of the silencer, ammunition it was tested with, weapon platform, stuff like that, manufacturer, and, how loud is it? How loud is it to the shooter? How loud is it to bystanders? Well, the suppression rating metrics there will let you sort. They'll let you sort there in the table. Okay. There are links to the individual reviews there in the table. If let's say you're sorting by some kind of property you're interested in, and you see a silencer, you say, "Oh, that's interesting. I wonder how they came to that conclusion," or "I wonder why the suppression rating is like that." Well, you can click the link there, and it'll take you to the detailed review. And believe me, there's more information in those reviews than you need. I went ham. All right, I went ham. I go ham in every review. I go hard in the paint with this stuff, guys. I want to make sure there's no doubt. There's no doubt about the data. It is all there, believe me. It is all there. As always, if you are a manufacturer and you want to use PEW Science for private testing, maybe you need some help consulting with something you're working on, there's a form on the website with which you can submit that inquiry. Your contact information is kept confidential. We treat you as a private client, and so anything we do for you, that's between us. We have released a couple of reviews from our private testing so far with the client permission. You'll see that, and you're going to see more of that this week. More of that this week is coming, so stay tuned for that. You can support this podcast, PEW Science, and our testing by joining at pewscience.com and spread the word if you like. You don't have to join if you don't want to, but you can certainly spread the word. You can rate the podcast on your favorite provider. The more folks that we know are into silencers and guns, the better. All right? We want to get out ahead of everything, right? Through education, we can broaden our horizons and our numbers. I think that's my philosophy. Okay, 5 topics for you today. This is going to be a little stream of consciousness, guys, so you can have to bear with me. Topic 1, I'm getting the QD itch. That's quick detach. What's the coolest secondary retention rifle silencer mount? You know what I mean? Like, what's the coolest one? I don't know. We'll talk about that. Topic 2, new sound signature reviews coming this week? Well, yes. Yes, there are. Topic 3, MK18 556 test host procurement. Ooh, boy, howdy. Obtaining one soon. And that's for you. I'll give you an update on that. Topic 4, more silencer mount back pressure discussions. Man, this is just not ending. And it's not going to. This is just going to be a thing we're going to have to deal with. And I'm getting more user feedback. We'll talk about some of that. And topic 5, welcome to new PEW Science members. Thank you for your support. Okay. Topic 1 at a time of 6 minutes and 4 seconds. Okay. Look, I make no promises to you folks. Like, sure, I'm giving you high fidelity data. I'm giving you information you've never seen before for silencers. I'm letting you put them all on a level playing field of sound performance. And I'm giving you the most comprehensive sound signature data imaginable in the world. But I want you to make no mistake. I am, in fact, a gun consumer. I remove and I reattach rifle silencers. Okay? I do. It's just what I do. It's probably because I travel a lot and I'm always in different places. I like to pack up my stuff and then take it out and deploy it. It's like just something, it's part of my thing, like part of my routine, okay? So far, for 30 caliber stuff, I think I have this licked for the most part, like for my bolt guns, okay? Right now, for my hunting rifle, my 308 fix, I'm using a Hyperion K, and it is direct thread to taper. So that's going to stay put like no matter what, right? We know the taper, the SIG taper, the Q taper, the CGS taper. It's all the same taper. 25 degrees. It's awesome. It's going to stay put. For my 300 blackout bolt gun, the minifix, I am currently using a Q full Nelson on that, which is also direct thread taper. Okay, so it's not going anywhere. So far, my two primary 30 caliber weapons, the attachment methods are secure and they're easy to deal with. Like, they're actually the easiest to deal with. Like, literally screwing something on and that there's no moving parts. It's just, it's on and it's on. No problem. Really excellent performance for my use cases. Pretty simple stuff. Semi-auto 308. Well, I'm not really shooting my AR 308 right now. I'm just not. Like, I'm not using it right now for a lot of stuff, and so I'm not really thinking about it yet. But hold that thought. All right. So what about 5.56? We're still talking about rifles, right? So my main squeeze right now, like my main 5.56 thing I am messing with is my 11.5-inch mid-length upper, the one that I show all the time because I like it, and so I'm posting pictures of it, I'm posting videos of it, whatever. Half 28, 90-degree shoulder, conventional threading, standard stuff. It has a Helios QD direct thread or a Helios QD titanium direct thread on there. Okay, that's what I'm running on that rifle. It depends on the day. You know, I use the Inconel one when I want to pretend I'm Rambo. And then when I use the titanium one when I want to see if I can break it pretending I'm Rambo. I'm Rambo with that gun. But sometimes Sometimes I am seduced by QD, quick detach. I don't know. I miss my rugged mount, QD. I miss it. The rugged M2 brake. It's so tiny and it gives really fast and secure attachment. With the Helios and direct thread, if I tighten it on, look, it doesn't come off. If I use a wrench on the mount thing, it's definitely not going to come off. Like you can wrench that on there, and then like you can take the silencer off the taper thing because it has a little taper on the actual direct thread mount itself. So there's that. I mean, I guess I could carry a wrench and call it a day. Like I could do that. Okay. But what if I don't want to? And what if I want to have the gun compact and shootable without the silencer for some bizarre reason? Like I know I say I don't shoot guns without silencers, but I don't know. Like what if I need to do that? And then what happens if I'm worried about flash without the silencer on it? You know, and I don't have a flash hider on it because there's no mount on it and it's just like a direct thread. You know what I'm saying? And then also, look, I haven't even tested the Helios for flash. I haven't. I have not done that. Me personally, I have not done a flash. And frankly, when I say test for flash, like I'm not instrumenting a controlled flash test. Like I would shoot it at night and see if it was bright. Like that's the test I'm talking about. Like I don't, like if I wanted to, I could totally use PEW Science funding to do flash testing, but we're not doing that right now. And so when I say I haven't tested the Helios for flash, it means I haven't put on night vision and shot the Helios. I need to do that. I need to do it under night vision. I am kind of I'm in the middle of this helmet mounted thermal and night vision combo kick kind of personally right now, my personal gun obsession. And so I don't know, I've been talking to some folks about that. Kind of want to turn myself into an advanced version of the Predator. That's the short-term goal. And so it's a whole thing. It just is a whole thing. And so anyway, I might need super no flash silencer capability for short barrel M16. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what I might end up needing. And so I'm going to have to test the stuff to see, or rely on you guys to tell me what like the least flashy stuff is at night with night vision. But back to mounts. So anyway, so I have some rugged rifle silencers and I love the mount. I love it. And you know what? There's another mount I really like, and I haven't used it on my 5.56, and that's the Surefire mount. I do like it. The three-prong flash hider, I do like it. But that sealing, we talked about that in a previous episode. I talked about the mount sealing. You saw how the seal can be compromised, and then you saw how if there's extreme venting near the seal, where the seal can be compromised, like from the war comp, you can get a real bad day, a lot of leaking. And so you've seen that. So there are issues. There are definitely issues with the Surefire mount from that respect. But I think if you use just a three-prong flash hider with the labyrinth seals, and you keep it clean, I don't know. I'm getting, for just as many people saying that they have to leave it on their guns and it gets stuck and blah, blah, blah. I'm getting other people who are saying, dude, it's fine. I've been shot it for years and it's fine all the time and it comes off fine. And I'm like, huh. So remember, we had this discussion before where I was like, well, I'm gonna run it myself to see like what the hubbub is. And I'm going to do it myself. Like I'm not going to take other people's word for it. I'm going to test it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to see what's what. And so I do now have a 7.62 RC2 demo unit on loan that I will have for a while. And I actually yesterday, today's Tuesday. Yesterday, Monday, I contacted Surefire. I said, hey, let me buy a 5.56 silencer. And they're like, cool. And I'm like, cool. So I'm buying a 5.56 RC2 from Surefire. because I haven't tested the 556 version, and I know that you guys want me to test it. I know you guys want me to test it because the amount of feedback I got after I published the 762 RC2 test was like, what about the 556? What about the 556? And like all day long, and I still am getting questions like all the time about the 556 RC2. And I said, okay, well, I got to test this. And so that I'm buying one. And the reason I'm buying it and not, well, I'm borrowing and stealing silence. No, I'm not stealing, but I am asking a lot of sources for silencers. Some folks are buying them for me. Some folks are sending me demos. Some folks are letting me borrow their personal silencers. This one was the one where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy it because I bet you I'm going to have to test this silencer on so many guns eventually that I just need one in this stable. And plus, I do have a personal proclivity for silencers because I want them. And so I was like, well, now I'll have the 762 and 556. And that's going to help. Just going to help me be able to evaluate both of those on 556 hosts and give you guys some interesting data. And I like the mount. I do like the mount. I don't know what it is. I like the rugged mount. I like the Surefire mount. And hey, is this a combination of me like being a gun guy and also wanting to evaluate the actual performance of this stuff? Yes. I don't have the data I want. I just don't have the data I want. I want to figure it out. And what does a highly optimized 556 host do with all these silencers? Okay, is it going to come down for you, the shooter, for the consumer, for me, a consumer that shoots and like doesn't care like about certain things all the time? Like, is this just going to come down to what your favorite mount is? Like, or is flash going to be the decider on the silencer? Like, what's the best overall 556 silencer? Is the Helios really for everyone? Is the Helios actually the best 556 silencer for everybody? How much do you lose by going with a Surefire? What if you went 556 instead of 762 on the Surefire on 556? You feel me? What about Knight's Armament? What about the Silencer Co. Saker in 556? You know, what if I put a 556 Saker on my 11.5-inch mid-length gas rifle machine gun? Would it be quieter? Would the 556 Saker be quieter than all this other stuff? What about the Hopi from RMS2 from SWR from Joe? What about the Hopi? You know, all these questions are going to be answered, but I'm going to answer them. We'll talk about more 556 testing later in this episode, but I've been thinking about mounts a lot lately for some reason, man. I don't know. Maybe it's look on my desk right now. Maybe it's a 3-prong Surefire flash hider. I've had this 762 3-prong on my desk since I tested the Surefire, the SOCOM 762 RC2, and when Surefire sent me a mount to make sure the mount was right, because I had those initial problems with the war comp. They sent me. I don't know if you guys remember. I told you that they sent me alignment rods. They sent me a mount, like for free. Like these guys just gave those things to me so I could do my testing better. I didn't even ask. So I've had this mount sitting on my desk. I look at it every day. It's like a paperweight sitting on my desk, and I have all kinds of mounts sitting on my desk, and I just kind of play with it sometimes when I'm on the phone and stuff. I have a rugged flash hider sitting here. I went down to my safe earlier. I pulled out a rugged M2 brake out of my rugged Radiant. I have that sitting here now in front of me. I have a SIG silencer QD mount sitting here too, like the old SIG mount with the taper. I don't know. I just have I have the M2 rugged brake. I have the SIG taper mount brake, and the Surefire 762 flash 3-prong flash hider. And I just have 3 sitting here with me, and I'm looking at all 3 of them. The SIG, it's interesting. The SIG I don't know if you guys are familiar with the SIG mount, but it's not it has secondary retention, but it is not secondary retention like the rugged mount and the Surefire mount. It's not the same. Well, okay, all three of these are different, but there's a big difference in the SIG mount. And the SIG mount actually uses the taper to seat, and the taper is of the angle and size to actually function without the latch, meaning that if you crank the silencer onto this mount, it would stay on the mount. And even if the latch, the QD latch wasn't in there, it would still be on there. Meaning that if you, I think, have I tested this? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that you don't even need the latch to use the silencer. Now, because you can unscrew, if I put it in here right now, if I put this mount into the silencer and I depress the latch and I screw it all the way, and it bottoms out, and then but I don't tighten all the way, and I start to unscrew it, I can unscrew until the coarse threads bring the housing so that the end of the taper hits the little latch and it won't come off. But the silencer's loose already by unscrewing it. You feel me? So basically, the seating taper is what holds the silencer on. Not only does it seal the gas, but it actually holds the silencer on. I mean, that's the friction fit. You know, that's what's happening there with elastic deformation if you really crank it. Like minute elastic deformation. And then in friction. And when you depress the latch, well, you're still gonna have to crank that silencer off. And depressing the latch, all that's gonna do is let you to continue to unscrew it and take it off. Okay, so I know I spent a lot of time just now explaining that, but that's a key difference. And that's basically like, I don't know if this is what SIG did, but I feel like what SIG did was like, oh, you need a secondary latch. Okay. And so they just like added one after the fact because they were like, well, all we need is a taper, but you want a secondary latch? Fine. Here's a secondary latch. And they did. And it technically satisfied the requirement. So cool. Okay. That's one way to do a secondary latch. That's the way the SIG did it. But then you look at rugged. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. Rugged did it where it seats on the taper like the SIG, but the taper's not as extreme. And if you really He-Man it on there, it'll seat on that taper, but it doesn't give you a warm fuzzy that it's going to stay. But when you turn the locking collar and the cam lobes compress onto the rear taper, that thing is not coming off the gun. You can rotate it, and it will rotate on the mount a little bit, but it will not come off. It will not come off the gun, and it won't wobble like the SIG. Because on the SIG, if you unscrew that taper, it won't come off the gun without depressing the latch, but it will wobble because it'll be off the taper. The rugged mount doesn't let you get off the taper because it has another taper sandwiching the mount in the silencer, okay? So that's a very big difference between the Q secondary retention system. I'm sorry, I said Q, it's funny. The SIG secondary retention system, which is what that is. I said Q because let's be honest. It's like the guys work at Q now, Ethan and Kevin. The SIG secondary retention system is just different. It's not as, I would say it's not as a positive retention as the rugged system. Okay. And then you got the Surefire, which is completely different than both of those. The Surefire actually, I wouldn't say any of these mounts necessarily have deficiencies per se, but the Surefire one, it doesn't even have a taper. Well, no, that's not true. It does at the very end, but it's not really a seating taper in the pure sense because it's very small, and the mount is keyed so that the taper is actually slightly interrupted by the key, the index notch. But it shares a similarity with the rugged mount. And that similarity is I just put the flash hider into the Surefire mount. It only goes on in one way because it's keyed. I put that in there and it bottoms out. When I lock that locking collar on the Surefire silencer, similar to the rugged, actually, and even more so than the rugged, you cannot remove it. Like, you can't twist it. I mean, you can. There's a little play once these things get a little worn and stuff, but it's not gonna. You can't remove it without changing the locking collar. So that's a secondary retention that's very similar to rugged in end result, and therefore similar to the ASR, which is the old, you know what I mean? Which is like the rugged is like the ASR 2, right? It's like just a redo of it. So like the rugged is like an ASR mount that like works right, like all the time, pretty much. Like the rugged mounts can fail for sure. Surefire mounts can fail. I'm sure the SIG mount can fail. All mounts can fail. But so these are 3 ones that I had on my desk that I was looking for before I started recording this, and I actually posted to Instagram story because I was like, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to show some people what I'm looking at. And so the commonality here between the 3 although there are differences, the commonality between the 3 is that they all offer a way to place a silencer on your gun without a tool and know it's not going to come off. Right? And we know that the only other way to do that is with the direct thread taper. Right? So, like at the beginning of this topic on this episode, what did I say? I said, well, I have my 308 bases covered. I got the direct thread taper. Hyperion K and full Nelson and stuff on my mini fix and my full size fix. Those are tapered barrels. Those are direct thread taper silencers. Remember I just talked about the SIG silencer, where the SIG silencer doesn't really even use its secondary latch, but it just seats on a taper. Like that's what that is. Like it's doing the same thing, but when you have a tapered barrel, you don't have to worry about having secondary retention. You just don't. So what are some companies doing? Well, Q now is they use their cherry bomb, right? Well, why do they use their cherry bomb? Well, they use it for a couple of reasons, but one of the reasons is it makes the silencer a direct thread silencer with a taper. And the cherry bomb can go on 90-degree shoulder barrels. So you crank that on, and this is almost like a Griffin cam lock. When you think about it, what's Griffin doing with their cam lock, with the interrupted threads? They're cranking a mount on the silencer so that then you have a way to put your they're cranking a mount on the barrel so that you have a way to put your pistol silencer on the gun without having to worry about it coming off, right? That's what a cherry bomb does, too. You crank the cherry bomb on your barrel, on your 90-degree shoulder barrel or your tapered shoulder barrel in the case of a fixed, because you know that it'll go on either. And then you have a way to install their Trash Panda or Thunder Chicken. You have a way to install those. Now you have a tapered barrel. That's what it did. That's what a cherry bomb is. It's a tapered barrel converter. It's a tapered barrel maker. It makes a tapered barrel. That's what it does. And that's what the SIG mount does in front of me. I'm looking at it right now. The SIG mount for the SIG silencers. What's the model number on here so I can tell you so you're not like those of you who don't use the internet. Hold on. If I can read. No, make sure to tell you the exact model number. SRD 762 Ti QD. That's the silencer I have in my hands right now. So from SIG, okay? They don't make this anymore, I'm sure. Because they're all onto newer and different things now. But this silencer is what does it do? It gives you a mount it converts your barrel to a taper barrel. That's what it's doing. So that's like a super secure mount, and something like if I was like in the market for a silencer where a rifle silencer where I could put it on my gun, and I had to take the silencer off for travel. And I needed to put it back on when I unpacked the system out of my bag or whatever. And I didn't have the option for a tapered barrel like I have with my mini fix and my fix. Well, then I would want a QD, because I know that I can, without a tool, put the silencer on there and it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. I know it's not coming off. And hopefully the QD mount's good enough to where it'll re-index and like the point of impact will be the same as it was last time I had the silencer on there. You know what? Okay, you see what I'm saying? So like when there are people that say, oh, direct thread is the answer for everything. It's like, yeah, it can be. But what happens with the case I'm talking about right now, when you're a true gun guy and this is a real world case where I travel and I want to take the silencer off my gun sometimes, because not every gun, the fix, the mini fix and the full size fix, they have folding stocks, dude. I can, that's awesome. But also they have tapered barrels, so they got a lot of stuff going for them when it comes to travel. There's a reason, and a lot of you guys don't like those guns. I know you don't. I know they're expensive, but dude, trust me, this is some of the parts. There's all kinds of awesome stuff about those guns. Are they my favorite guns? Absolutely not. But they have a lot of stuff that I like. They have more stuff I like than I don't like, so that's why I have them. I told you guys this is going to be stream of consciousness, but I'm saying I think that QD has merit. I think that we don't have tapered barrels for 5.56 right now. And even if we did, we don't have mounts to interface with them. And as I think more about gas guns, and as I think more about the AR-15 and the M16 and testing for you guys, I think more about where we sit as actual gun guys and actual gun guys. Let's be politically correct for 2021. Gun people. As gun people, we need to be sure to know what our options are. And if you're packing a suitcase for a weekend trip and you have your personal defense weapon in that suitcase, because you're just carrying a pistol or whatever, you're carrying a handgun, but you have you travel with a PDW, and that PDW happens to be a 5.56 SBR, and you're putting it in your bag, and you gotta be, when you unpack your destination, you want to put everything on and everything ready, and you forget your wrench. You're gonna He-Man your direct thread half 28 silencer on there. I mean, I've done it. I did that with the Helios, and I shot mag dumps and it didn't come off, but that doesn't mean it's not going to come off. It just means that I had adequate torque then with my hand, and there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee with heating and cooling cycles. I tell you what, I've had taper mounts come off with heating and cooling cycles. I had a Griffin plant, and it wasn't a Plant A. It was the Griffin Explorer. The Griffin Explorer. I hate that word. But anyway, that silencer, when I first tested that 2-3 years ago, that thing, hot and cool cycles, the mount failed, meaning that it came loose before I shot it again. I had 2 witnesses. So I'm telling you, QD and a proper taper mount have their place. That's what I'm saying. I know there's no real conclusion from this topic right now, but I want to put this out there as the discussion points for people. I want you to start thinking about this. If there are other mounts. So a lot of these silencers can accept third-party mounts. Like the Helios QD is one of them. You can put a third-party mount in the back and facilitate QD function. You can use a YHM or something like that. So, or a dead air, but I don't like it because it's long. It makes the silencer really long, and also it's unnecessarily heavy, and I'm just not a big chemo fan. That's not my thing. That's just a personal preference, really. I think. And so there are ways to mitigate this. But now, you have three: the Surefire, the SIG, which is going away. I mean, no one's doing that anymore because they don't make those anymore. So that's gone. I mean, the next best thing to the SIG mount, if you want to go to the taper mount, it's probably the Q mount. It's probably the most similar one. Although I guess SIG's coming out with their 556 silencer, which will have a flash hider, which is going to be larger than their current mounts. I believe it'll be steel. The silencer will be steel, and the mount will be steel. But that'll be only for the Q silencer, so that doesn't really help if you want to do some other stuff, right? So anyway, yeah. I think maybe you just got to start tapering a 556 barrel. I mean, is that going to happen? Probably not. I want to be Mr. Positivity and say yes, but I don't think so. All right. We'll come back. We'll come back to 556. You're like, what the hell is this guy talking? Topic 2. Let's go into topic 2 at a time of 36 minutes and 4 seconds. All right. Exactly 30 minutes on the topic. That's fine. Topic 2. New sound signature reviews coming this week. Yes. This week? Well, yes, there are. There are some coming. Some paid contract testing was done last year. Some other additional ones than what you've seen. And the client has decided that they wanted me to publish results of some of the tests to the website to be included with the public repository of test results. And so I said, okay, no problem. I can do that. And it's kind of cool. You guys saw I did that with 2 of the CGS silencers, the Hyperion and the Hyperion K. Those were 2 silencers for which I performed testing under contract with CGS. They got a report. They can give that report to their customers, their military, government entities, their work, whatever. They can give it. They can put it on the refrigerator. I hope they did. And they wanted me to put the data on the website. Their data that they paid for, they wanted me to put it on my website so folks could see it. And I was like, yeah, works for me. It's data I generated. I know it's correct, so I'm happy to put it on display if they want me to, and so I did. And there is more of that CGS data to show you. We did way more tests than those 2 you've seen. I just haven't written articles for it yet, but I'll give it more. I'll give more of them to you later. This time, it is a different client. So this week, you're going to see the results of a couple of contracted tests. Same deal, though. Manufacturer contacted PEW Science for R&D. We worked together, completed a test series under contract, and now there's some cool data to show. That's basically, there's no mystery. This particular client is an ongoing R&D client with PEW Science. So the stuff you will see this week will definitely not be the last stuff you see from them. They are a very new manufacturer, and chances are you have not heard of them before. Chances are. So it will be neat to be able to show you that type of data. Like I don't know. I did see a comment on social media like a week or so ago from a new SOT, manufacturer just starting out, and they said, I don't want to butcher the quote. I believe it was something like, they liked PEW Science because it gave them hope. Like it helped them to know that if they work hard and they develop a good product, and then I test it, and the results are good, it makes them know that it's on a level. It's going to be shown on a level playing field in a fair way, and the world's going to see it. And I saw that comment by that gentleman, and it warmed my heart, man. Like that's totally congruent with like the overall goal of what I'm doing right now. I am so excited. I'm so excited to be able to provide a place for trusted and standardized technical evaluation. Okay. And if folks want to get their name out there using that, awesome. Okay. It's awesome. Hey, look, but I mean, testing under contract is not free. This isn't a free lunch, but it does allow folks to conduct real R&D with a third party and an opportunity to have real data published in the public eye. Okay. So this is cool. What a cool thing, right? To be able to do this for people. right? And it helps grow the PEW Science business too. Okay, so because for every project that we conduct, we help fund further testing and improvements to the methodology too. See how this works? Like, this is all self-feeding. Like, this is all like, it's all feeding back into PEW Science. Powerful PEW Science. You know what I mean? It's all like the membership fees, the testing fees, everything. It's all feeding back into PEW Science. Like, it's all making this happen. Like, this is how I think I've been told. This is how you build a business. I've been told, but I don't know because this is a lot of this is new for me. So I'm trying. But yeah. So that's cool. Stay tuned for that this week. I think you're gonna like it. It's neat. I'm proud of being able to do that stuff, man. I don't know. Like forget about the silencer. Forget about just the fact that someone trusted me enough to call me and be like, dude, can you help us with this R&D? I listened to your podcast. It was awesome. We're making silencers. What do you think? I'm like, let's do it. And then I tested for them and gave them a report, and they used it, and then they're like, hey, can we publish the results? And I was like, yeah, dude, let's do it. Isn't that crazy? It's so crazy. I can't believe it. I still can't believe this is even, this is great. This is it's all going according to plan, which is a little scary. Okay. Topic 3 at a time of 41 minutes and 41 seconds. Okay. Oh, man. You guys are going to like this. MK18 556 test host procurement. I'm obtaining one soon for you. I just got UPS tracking. I just checked. I promise. Right before this podcast, right before I started recording, I checked, and it looks like it's going to ship, which means that I might get it soon, which is good for testing. So, speaking of investing back into PEW Science, right? I mean, we're finally procuring one of these to be one of the standard test hosts. Daniel Defense MK18 upper, okay? Standard 0.07 inch diameter gas port on the barrel. Okay, so 7 hundredths of an inch, I believe, is the latest spec for that gas port. I believe it used to be bigger. It's now that size. Okay, and I made that decision based on what's currently on the market, what's currently being used. 0.07. That's what I was told. That's what we're doing. It is a non-adjustable gas block. Okay, it is the this is the standard MK18. Okay, this is like the MK18. This is coming from a company that I just learned about. They're called Charlie's Clones. They are a gun assembler. They are in Virginia. I put out a solicitation on my Instagram story at the end of last week. I was like, dude, I need a MK18. Who out there can sell me one? Can't find guns right now. I was like, I need a MK18 to test for people. This is not for funsies. Believe me. Why would I buy a MK18? I have 11.5 inch mid length. Why do I even need a 10.3 inch? Anyway, well, it's for PEW Science is why I need it. So yeah, I got a lot of DMs. I got a couple DMs about this, and some of you showed me the Charlie's Clones. They're like, hey, it looks like they have something in stock. And I was like, really? Because I get really skeptical when I see something in stock for guns right now. Cause I'm like, nah, they're just not updating their website. You know what I mean? I'm like, there's no way something's in stock. So, it also, when I went to their website, it looked unreasonably expensive. And I was like, whoa. I was like, I'm not going to pay for, that's ridiculous. I was like, for an upper? I was like, what? I was like, just an upper. I was like, why is it so expensive? And so I called them, or no, I emailed them. That's what I did. I emailed them. I was like, hey, so you don't know me, but I'm Jay. And do you have any blemished or damaged upper assemblies to sell me? Because frankly, this is what I need. and I don't need it to look pretty. I just need it to be functional. And so I said, hey, I kind of explained my needs and what I'm doing with it. I said, hey, I need a 10.3 inch barrel. I need an 070 gas port, using it for silencer testing. You know what? They emailed me back like right away. I'm talking like 10 minutes later, or something like that. It was crazy. And apparently they have been closely following PEW Science, which is a little terrifying. And so the owner and I, so this guy emailed me back. He's like, dude, call the owner right now. And I was like, all right. So I called the owner, spoke on the phone for a while, and he's like, yeah, dude, I'll totally sell you this upper for like way cheaper. And I was like, cheap is good. And so yeah, I bought it for way cheaper than it normally is, which is great. So PEW Science members, you made that happen. Congratulations. Not only did you make it happen by funding PEW Science, and that's now you're going to get data with the Mark 18, but one of you tipped me off, or two of you, three of you tipped me off to call these guys. So you made it happen with lead. You made it happen with funding. I can't do this without you guys. You guys are doing this you guys are helping. Like this is PEW Science. This is grassroots. You guys did it. And so that's neat. I'm gonna have one of these uppers there for you. A 10.3 upper. That's gonna be a permanent test host. You know that. Like that's gonna be one of them. Okay. I'm just glad that was able to work out. Man, gun parts are hard to find right now. I'm telling you what. Okay, so 10.3 non-adjustable standard military upper. I'm told. Okay, so 10.3 for SBR performance. It's going to use a standard carrier that comes with it. I talked to the guy. Excuse me. He said, I told the owner John. He said, hey, I talked to him. He said, hey, give me a buffer that's used too. I want the buffer and spring. I want everything that's in that gun. Now we're gonna have to verify that. See, like we're gonna need. I'm gonna get when he sends this to me. I'm gonna assume the spring's right. I'm gonna check that too. But I'm gonna get this buffer. I'm gonna weigh this buffer. I'm gonna look at it. I don't know what it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be H2. I don't know. I actually don't know. I forgot. But I want to make sure when we test Mark 18. I'm gonna do some polls. I need to know when people say Mark 18 with the 070 gas port, what buffer are they using? Because I'll be damned if I start testing this with like a regular carbine buffer. That's not happening. There is no way that the military is fielding these guns with a regular carbine buffer in them. There's got to be an H1 in there and H2. I couldn't imagine the military fielding this gun with a standard carbine buffer weight. That doesn't make any sense. But I mean, I've been wrong before. So I'm going to have to be real careful, but I just want to tell you guys, that's okay. That's a detail we can mess with. We can build buffers. That's just changing tungsten weights for steel. That's not a problem. What we need to make sure of, though, is what spec it is. So we're gonna figure that out. We want to make sure when I say, here's my Mark 18 test for Silencer XYZ, we're gonna be sure to give you all the data. I'm not gonna do this thing where I'm gonna show you data and not tell you everything about the gun. I have not seen any silencer testing that's ever been done on ARs where they give you all the data. That's comprehensive. Like there might be a couple of manufacturers that'll do it, but let's be honest. Okay. And so we're going to have to be very careful now. Again, the bottom line here, we got to make sure the platform accurately depicts the Mark 18. And frankly, I'm not here to debate the merits of the Mark 18 and why would someone use a 10.3 inch with the carbine gas system, carbine length. Like I'm not here to debate that. I don't care. Frankly, it's not something I would use or buy because it's not optimized. But it's frankly what I think the military. Frankly, I think what they did was they needed the barrels to be shorter, so they put a silencer on it and then go through tight spaces. And some admiral somewhere was like, cut the barrels off. And I was like, dude, I don't think we should do that. And Admiral's like, do it. And they're like, okay, Admiral. I think that's what happened. I don't know. Don't hold me to that. I'm not like, I don't know. I could be completely off. But I do know that like it probably wasn't done by like a bunch of smart weapon dudes. It was probably done by some high up person. And it was probably a mistake. So we're going to have that. We're going to have the 10.3 And then we're going to have the 11.5-inch mid, which I have now. And that's going to be with the Surefire OBC. Okay, I've decided that. I'm going to call that the optimized SBR. So we're going to have the standard military SBR, Mark 18. And they're going to have the optimized SBR, the 11.5-inch mid. Basically, the most optimized and shortest SBR you can have with the standard gas system length and the parts. This is the most tuned, the tuned to the tuned, mega tuned, unicorn baby tune. This is the adjustable mid-length gas, 11.5 Surefire unicorn SBR, the best, shortest, the only one. It is the shortest. It is the shortest barrel you can have with a mid-length gas system. And still put the gas block on there and adjust it. You know what I mean? Like that's 11.5. And so, yeah. So we get 10.3 standard, 11.5 unicorn. Okay, that's the two. And then what did I say we're going to do next? Well, whatever looks best with the Knights Armament URX3 13.5-inch rail I have. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. I'm losing my voice. Yeah. So I have a Knights Armament URX3 13.5-inch rail. So what is that, like a 14 something inch barrel, mid length? Don't make me test a 14-inch carbine gas rifle, guys. What a waste of time. I'm gonna test an 11.5-inch mid. You best believe we're gonna test 14.5-inch mid. I'll test. Don't make me test 14.5 rifle. Can you even do that? I don't remember how long the rifle light gas system is, but anyway. Yeah, so 14. It might be 14 point something mid-length gas for the next one after that. But like what I'm saying is we're building a stable of uppers for the 5.56 Gauntlet. Okay, going to be sweet 5.56 data. Going to be sweet. You guys do realize that's like, just talking about that, that's 3 hosts and that's like 3 tests per silencer. Like you do realize that, right? And so like that's literally insane. But it might be required. And so I'm going to figure out how to do it intelligently. We need to work smarter, not harder. Okay, I mean, we're going to have to work harder on a lot of stuff, but I think working smarter is probably good. So I'm going to have to figure out what the best thing to do is. There are some things. You know what it might do? It might have me do. It might involve a method of reporting that it's not as thorough. And I mean, and the question is, are you guys going to be okay with that? Like, have I given you enough confidence in how I do things to give you abbreviated data now? Like, in other words, do you? I've told some of you this, including some very experienced people in the industry. I've spoken with some of you that I respect a lot, that I consider some of you my like silencer industry mentors. And I've told you this. The reason why my articles are so freaking crazy and so in depth is because I had to build confidence first. I had to show you all the cards so that you understand that I'm not trying to blow your skirt up and that this is real. But now what I'm asking is, are we getting to a point where you believe me? So now, like, can I just not have to show you everything? Because that would be way easier. Like, frankly, it's arduous to do it all, like with the rigor that I'm doing. But at the same time, I really hesitate to reduce the rigor, because then we lose some of the granularity and we lose some of the apparent pedigree. You understand? So I'm fighting a constant battle. And this is a decision that only I can make. Okay? But I am asking you too, because with this 5.56 testing stuff, I'm going to have to do some economy of scale. And if you guys want a bunch of different configurations, well, what you're asking for is unreasonable in data production. And I can tell you right now that, again, and some of you know this, some of you don't, but if you are paying for this analysis and if you are paying for these test reports on the open market, like from me doing this, not for PEW Science, but like in the real world, like, I'm sorry, but I've tanked the market for this stuff, because this stuff costs tens of thousands of dollars in time. for each report. So, and if you don't believe that, well, then that's fine. But this is expensive, and you're getting it for free. Okay, like this is basically free. Even, and if you're sitting there shaking your head, well, I'm not $7.95 a month. No, people pay PEW Science to contribute to PEW Science and help. Don't think you're paying for this data, because you're not. You couldn't afford it. I mean, some of you might be able to, but trust me, you're not paying for it because it's not yours. You don't own this data. You don't own it. I do. Okay, the only people who own some of this data are the companies that are contracting with us, and they pay. They don't pay what it should cost, but they pay what I charge them, and they pay because it costs money to generate this stuff. So be very careful when you give me feedback about this, because your proclivity is going to be, and I don't blame you, because I'd be the same way if I was a consumer outside looking in. I'd say, Jay, why aren't you testing a 16-inch barrel and a 20-inch barrel, please? Silencer Shop does it. I've heard of that so many times. Well, PEW Science just doesn't test enough. Silencer Shop, why can Silencer Shop test all the things all at once, and then they show us that? Because Silencer Shop's not showing you anything. That's why. They have a team of like a bunch of people that go to a range. One guy shoots the gun. They literally record one number from a meter that's telling you God knows what, and then they put it on YouTube with another guy. Like, what are you talking about? Like, don't compare what I'm doing to that. It's not even on the same planet. So, anyway, not to belabor it, but we're going to need to come up with a better way to do this with 556 because of the variations in hosts. And one other thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to test the dedicated 556 silencers. And that's going to be really, really interesting. And what's really cool about it is to see how they're going to stack up against the 762 models and on which host it matters on. You know what I mean? Like, and this is why it's really cool. Like, I know, like, I don't mean to be negative when I talk about the fact that this is a lot of work. And that's not really what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's a lot of variables to explore, and we have to make sure to do it for you. And like, I don't want to write a check my butt can't cash. And so when I think about the possibilities of the data, when I think about like what this might mean, depending on the conclusions, like let's say we got 10.3 Mark 18, right? And the only knob you can change is the buffer weight, right? Or you can change the carrier, but we're not gonna do that right now. You know what I mean? So like, let's say and I'm not saying I'm gonna do this, but let's say, for instance, okay, disclaimer, this might not be the one, but disclaimer, let me just say that. Let's say, for instance, I put an H2 buffer in the Mark 18. And that was like what we did. And then we tested like a bunch of silencers on that. And then we tested the same silencers on the 11.5-inch mid-length host with the Surefire OBC, which is really equivalent to an H3. And has different gas system length. And the gas port is tuned because it's an adjustable gas block. What if we did tests on those two platforms, and let's say one silencer performed almost exactly the same on both. And then like, no matter what you did to tune that 11.5, that silencer basically performed like it did on the Mark 18. Wouldn't that be crazy? Can that even happen? It might. And then like, what if you took another silencer and you put it on the Mark 18 and you got one answer, and you put an 11.5-inch tuned, and it turned the silencer into some like godsend, and you're like, oh my God. Like, oh, well, what would happen? Well, in the first case, the first silencer that didn't care would be like, oh, well, that silencer doesn't care. Well, that's good to know. And in case of the silencer that became like walking on water when you put it on the 11.5, people would be like, oh my God, I love that silencer, but now I have to build a host. You see how that can completely change the market for a silencer? Like, not on the macro scale. Like, probably a lot of people aren't going to see that. But I think for enthusiasts, and as the information starts to percolate and like trickle everywhere, like we stand in a position, guys, frankly, with the rigor we are capable of and the knowledge we have built, we stand to significantly influence how you and I, like you and the person, you listening right now, and me, like you and I, how are we selecting AR-15s? How are we selecting components? What is important to us for suppressed operation? What is the optimum system? And does it matter for every silencer? It probably doesn't. Which silencers care? Which silencers don't? And which silencers are never going to be good no matter what you tune on an SBR? Like, what silencer is going to be so loud no matter what that why are you even using it? And what silencer is going to be quiet no matter what? So why shouldn't you just use it for everything? And then what silencer is only going to be good when your host is good? You're going to have bins, guys. We're going to get bins. Isn't that crazy? I think that's crazy. So like that's the propensity the potential, I'm using the wrong word a lot here. That's the potential I think we're running into. So we got to think about that. We got to be respectful of what we're doing and we got to be respectful of the potential. What we don't want to do is we don't want to squander potential, and we also don't want to promise too much. You basically want to, what do you want to do? You want to underpromise and overdeliver, right? I feel like I've done that so far. Maybe. So yeah, baby steps. The suppression rating is going to help this. It is going to help us. Oh my God, is it going to help us? Because guess what? You're going to get lost in some of this port pop stuff, and the suppression rating is going to be the equalizer. I've already used it myself on some of my own personal AR-15 testing I've done that I haven't published. Like, I'm telling you, without the suppression rating, we would be dead in the water here. And it is going to be awesome because it's going to let us group stuff. And basically, I have a feeling, don't take this to the bank yet, but I have a feeling that you're gonna look at a lot of different stuff on an AR-15 silencer, except for other than sound. I think you're going to find some that you like for sound, and then you're going to start to look at stuff we talked about earlier in the podcast with mounts and flash. And I think are we going to start to come to some of the same conclusions that the military has come to? Maybe. Are we going to do it better? Yes. Yes, we are. Okay. Topic 4 at a time of 1 hour. Oh my God, 1 hour. 1 hour and 3 minutes and 4 seconds. Oh. I said I was going to go fast today. I didn't go. I lied. Not on purpose. Topic 4, more silencer mount backpressure discussions. Getting more user feedback, yeah. Oh my goodness. So last time I gave you 2 examples of some very interesting silencer mount backpressure experiences with the Q Cherry Bomb versus flash hiders or other mounts. Okay, this isn't me picking on the Cherry Bomb. This is just me giving anecdotal feedback. There's a lot of them out there, a lot of Plan Bs and stuff, for good reason. I mean, it's a simple mount, and that's why a simple and secure mount. I think that's why people are liking it. Well, I have yet another report to share with you, and this one comes from another PEW Science member. He's a guy I have talked to for quite some time. He's a guy that probably owns more silencers in his personal collection than I do. I would venture to guess he probably has more automatic weapons than I do too. I would venture to guess. He's a member that is very interactive with PEW Science. He actually has he's corroborated a lot of the PEW Science data that you see on the website because he himself owns a lot of the silencers that have been tested. Like, he already has them. He's already shot them. Like, he shot a lot of stuff before I've shot it. Okay? And so he often chimes in on Reddit as well. Like, he knows his stuff, dude. This guy knows his stuff. And his knowledge comes from real experience with the silencers. Okay? And I give you all of this background because I'm going to talk about the cherry bomb again. And this guy gave me his experience with it. Okay, and now keep in mind, this guy likes Q stuff just as much as he likes CGS stuff. Okay, he's like me. He's a true performance-driven consumer. He cares about performance. He doesn't care about BS. Okay, we get along. He and I. He and I get along great. Like we both use Q products and CGS products. Like there's not a lot of people who do that, and he and I get along very well. So, with all that being said, this gentleman performed a field experiment with some of his buddies. His host weapon was a PWS 16-inch AR-15. Okay, that's a piston gun. Gas operated. It's a piston gun. It's gas operated. I explained on the previous episode of the podcast that piston guns are still gas operated. They just use momentum from the gas coming through the gas port and send that to a piston, which then imparts the momentum to your bolt carrier, just like a direct impingement gas tube imparts the gas momentum to the carrier. Same thing. And I'm going to say something right now that I don't know if someone said this before, but I'm going to say it right now. A piston gun is just direct impingement with an extra step. Trust me. It's the same thing. It's just more complicated. Okay, I feel like to me, that sounds like something someone would have already said as a joke because it's like true and funny, but like I thought I just made it up. Maybe I didn't. I think I made it up. I bet you someone said it before though, because I can't be the first one to think that. Okay, on to the gentleman's experiment. Okay, excuse me. He took his 16-inch mid-length gas piston gun, okay, 16-inch mid-length gas piston gun, and he shot a Silencer Co. Saker 7.62 on the gun. Okay, Silencer Co. Saker 7.62. That's a rifle silencer made by Silencer Co. 7.62 bore. Okay, pretty durable. He did so with two different mounts. He used a Q Plan B. Okay, that's a direct thread mount screwed into the rear of the Saker that interfaces with the Q Cherry Bomb muzzle brake. And then he also used a Silencer Co. 3-prong ASR flash hider mount. Okay, so cherry bomb versus flash hider, brake versus flash hider. That's what we're dealing with here. He had two other shooters with him. All three people agreed there was noticeably less gas using the ASR flash hider. None of the folks were surprised when they were comparing the two mounts. I don't know. Looking at the physical mounts made sense. There's less gas using the flash hider. There's less gas using, there's less gas in the face to the folks using the flash hider. It made sense to them. It is not really a mystery to them. It was an experience that he wanted to share with me, and I was thankful for that. And this is extremely useful, and this is the third cherry bomb report I have received from social media followers and PEW Science members, indicating that the mount results in more back pressure than a flash hider. It's interesting. And you know what? It is something that I need to look at in my data for the half Nelson, the full Nelson, the trash pan, and the Thunder Chicken. You see where I'm going with this? I can imagine you do. The Nelson silencers have one more baffle or something like that. I can't remember exactly how many more baffles they have than the cherry bomb equipped cousins, the trash pan and Thunder Chicken. But I can't remember off the top of my head. But that in and of itself is going to increase back pressure, right? When you have more baffles. But the lack of a cherry bomb is that's going to reduce back pressure. Clearly, we just did, clearly that's true. So is the net effect zero difference? I don't know. It's not. Because I think I measured the back pressure. I think it's different. Yeah. It's interesting, right? It's interesting. At least on the Saker and some of these other silencers. It's interesting. You know what else is interesting that I thought about recently? Kyler from Performance Driven Defense, Stubby Tech on Instagram. Shout out to Kyler, powerful Kyler. They're a corporate PEW Science member. He is making a cherry bomb mount right now. I forgot what he calls it. That it's an A2 flash hider, dude. It is not a brake. It's basically, it's literally a cherry bomb in dimension with the taper and threading, but instead of having the brake portion with the holes in it, it's a A2. Okay. He reverse engineered the cherry bomb to get the dimensions, and then he just created one that was, so it's a third party mount. I don't know if Q warrants that on their silencers, probably not. But it is an option. It's interesting, and would that mount give lower back pressure to folks looking to use Plan B with some silencers? I don't know, man. Probably. It's interesting. It could definitely be a thing that folks might want to mess with. If for some reason more back pressure is an issue, if you're having an issue, right? I don't know. I never thought we would be able to use third-party anecdotal data like this, but it is getting interesting and pretty consistent. So I thought, why not? I thought to myself, why not? Let me let you guys know about it. Okay. I can tell you guys. I said earlier. Okay. Let me back up. I do reserve the right to later say that all these guys are full of crap. Okay, but I'm just telling you, I am getting reports, and I am not having any reason to doubt them. I mean, they're consistent, and you guys can, and the fact that you guys can test this yourselves too is cool. Because even if I'm saying something that's wrong, tell me. Go test this, and if you get a different result than these guys, well then, cool. Let me know. But you know what I mean? I'm just trying to give good information. So I can tell you guys. I said earlier, I just bought the 556 RC2. Well, I asked them to. I haven't really ordered it. I don't know how. I need to follow up. I am trying to obtain a 556 RC2. I just bought, I spent $150 on a 3-prong flash hider for it because I need a half 28 threading 3-prong just so I can test that for you guys. And, hey, PEW Science, this is what I use the money for. So I got that. And so what I want to do is I want to test it for you guys, but also I want to put it on my M16 if it's cool. You know what I mean? So yeah, I paid attention to the choice amount. I'm not gonna test the Surefire silencers on that dang muzzle brake and give you that data because that's probably, I don't know. It's maybe not the best performance you can get out of the silencers after the feedback I received last week on 556, right? We just discovered that. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the future when it comes to some of this stuff. I mean, there might be some silencers we have to test multiple times with different mounts, like I did with the 762 RC2. The 762 RC2, remember? To understand the influence of mounts on back pressure and suppression, the 762 RC2 was a special case because there was leakage, and that leakage issue was caused by the war comp. Okay, but you know what I'm saying? That was a special case, but there might be some silencers we got to test multiple times on multiple mounts because it's such a drastic difference. Some silencers probably it's not going to matter that much. Some silencers might not matter at all, depending on the differences of the mounts. But some of them, dude, like a regular brake, like a regular 3-port brake versus a flash hider, like on a lot of silencers, like the YHM mount or like the rugged mount, you think that's going to change that much? I don't think so. Like the dead air chemo, 3-port dead air chemo versus flash hider key mount, you think that's going to change that much? I don't think so. It might, but the way those silencers work too, I don't think so. But some of these silencers, the way the silencers work, and some of these mounts about how restrictive they are, you can take a cherry bomb, just make the holes bigger. You just drill the holes, make them bigger. I bet it would be, the back pressure would be the same as something else, as a flash hider. You know what I mean? I don't know. So yeah, keep the back pressure experiments coming in. I'm getting more from you guys. A guy, you know what? Here, another one. I just remembered. A guy with a Rex Silentium silencer. A lot of you guys asking me about that brand. One of his customers. He has a Rex Silentium silencer. It's a PEW Science member. This guy, he put the Rex Silentium silencer on a PWS piston gun. Okay, common theme. It's another piston experiment for you. He told me he had to use setting 3, and I'm not familiar with these guns, so I don't know what this means. He said he had to use setting 3, which was basically the gas being basically shut off, and an H4 buffer to get rid of gas in the face. Okay, we're using a Rex Mod X9 at an indoor range. I don't know if that was, he said PWS piston. Mod X, is that 556 or is that 300 blackout? I don't know. I don't know what cartridge he's using, but he was using a cherry bomb. I think he uses a Plan B. I think if he changed that mount, I bet you maybe he didn't have to use an H4 buffer, but maybe his silencer would be louder. That's another thing, right? It's like, yeah, the mount is causing back pressure, but is it making it quieter? Can you have one without the other? On some silencers, maybe. On some silencers, maybe not. And are we splitting hairs? It depends. I mean, you want optimized performance or not? All right, topic 5. Topic 5 at a time of 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 22 seconds. Welcome to new PEW Science members. Thank you for your support. It really does mean the world. And I was last night, I was preparing for this podcast with some notes. And I put something on my Instagram story about, this was last night, so it's probably not there anymore, about Surefire silencers looking cool. And one of you DM'd me, and we were talking about them, the Surefire silencers, that is. We were talking about them, and I had actually spoken to this gentleman about his 556 RC2 purchase before. I scrolled up in the DM conversation. I had spoken with him a while back, and because he asked me, "Hey, have you tested the 556?" I said, "No, sir, but I will. I am planning to." He said, "Cool." Anyway, we banter back and forth about random stuff sometimes. And I told him this time, I said, "Hey, I bought one to test for you guys. I just wanted to update." I said, "Hey, this guy, he actually has it pending. He's a consumer. His Form 4 is pending. So he's waiting on his baby. He's waiting on his Form 4 and his silencer in jail there." And I told him I bought one. I'm going to test it. And he was like, "Dude, seriously?" He's like, "Man, I'm going to join PEW Science." And he joined. I was like, "Dang, man, that's cool. I can feel the love." I was like, "Man, you didn't have to do that." I was like, "Oh, you didn't have to join. Thanks, man." I was like, "That's awesome." So I really appreciate it, man. I can feel the love. You guys are making this happen. And being able to purchase a hard-to-get silencer to test for you guys is made possible, in part, by PEW Science member contributions. So thank you. We do. You know what? We actually have a lot of silencers coming on Form 3 from people on loan to test. I think I said that earlier. Not everything can come like that, though, guys. I can't be begging for stuff. I don't feel right about doing that. And there's some very generous people. So I gotta buy some of the stuff that I'm testing, and that's just gonna sit in the PEW Science library. I'm eventually I'm gonna like sell the demos or something. I guess I could do that. I don't want to sell silencers, though. That's a slippery slope. I don't want to do that because then it's going to be a whole thing, and then someone's going to accuse me of bias. So yeah. I mean, like the Surefire, the 556 one. Sure, I think I could probably get that from some people. But some of these silencers, like I said, are so well known and popular. I did make the decision to procure them for long-term use. Some of them I'm doing that. I do not want to keep someone's personal silencer for a long time. That's not something I'm interested in doing. A lot of you have offered. Some of you are offering your Knights Armament QDC silencers to me to test. Look, I might take you up on that. Okay. But I am really trying not to do that. I am nervous because I do not want to ruin your baby, and especially with the nights. And I'm like, oh my God, like what if something happens and like you can't get another one? No, but I'd be careful with it. But yeah, I mean, I might take some of you up on the offer, but some of the really common stuff that people are going to want to see all the time, I don't want to borrow a silencer, test it, and then give it back to a consumer, and then call a consumer like, hey, can I use your silencer again? That'd be like super weird. Like, I don't want to put myself in that position. I don't want to put you in that position. Because you say it's cool. Like, you say it's cool that I can borrow your XYZ, but then what happens when I borrow it and I want to keep it for a year? Because I want to do other stuff with it. You're like, Jay, can I have it back? And, it's going to be a whole thing. And then I don't need that. I don't need that headache. And so if you're like serious about letting me borrow stuff to test and you want to put a timeline on it, okay, but just know that if I test it and then you want more data on it, then you're going to have to give it back to me. And you know what I mean, Jelly Bean? So put yourself in my shoes. All right? For that. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. Okay? So, but I just want to give you guys this update. Some of you, I frankly, the graciousness of some of you benefactors is out of this world. Dealer calls me up and says, I'm paraphrasing. Dealer calls me up and says, hey, I'm going to buy like this and this and this and this. I'm going to send them to you. I'm like, what? Yeah. That's the type of generosity that's going on in the industry right now. People are literally purchasing silencers to send me. Like, what? Like, I'm not going to tell you who they are, but yeah. That is not normal in the gun world. And I'll tell you what, there's other companies sending me inventory. They're like, oh, hey, I got this reference collection of some of the silencers. You want me to just send them to you? I'm like, is the sky blue? Yes, please. That makes my job easier. So yeah. Anyway, that's why do you think I have silencers sitting on my desk right now? It's making it not fun. But yeah, I wouldn't feel right about tying up your personal silencers, but I am still willing to explore that. To those of you actually who reached out to me late last year and asked about this, I don't need your silencers anymore. I got those silencers. I have those coming, so don't you worry about that. I don't even need to talk about which ones they are right now. You know who you are if we talked. The guy with the Knight's Armament, stand by. I'm not ready to test that yet, so I'm not talking to you. You and I might still have a relationship. Okay, so yeah, I am. Now keep in mind, I'm a consumer myself. I know what it would take to send a personal silencer. I know how that would feel. I can remember to where, like, when I only owned a couple of silencers, what that would mean to me. And so I don't want to put you in that position. That's not right. So anyway, I do like to keep you guys updated on progress like this. Please let me know if you desire any more information on some of this. I will be happy to share some of it with you that I can. I can't share everything with you, but to the extent I can help you understand what we're trying to do, I will. Especially PEW Science members, please reach out to me anytime. Please stay tuned this week for some fresh data for a silencer you have never seen before. It's cool. It's exciting for me. I'd like to think I'm helping the industry. Some people might not want to see it because they're not interested in it. Some people are like, well, I wanted to see that. How come you're not showing a Griffin? Da, da, da? Or how come you're not showing a... Because I'm not. I'm showing this. So you'll get it. And you're going to love it. Okay? It's exciting. All data is good data, guys. All data is good data. It helps us grow. Okay, so thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks again for listening, and thank you for all your support. I will talk to you folks again soon.